General, I think we're rolling. I think we're going.
You know, you'd think that with as much experience as you have with cameras, you'd know whether we're rolling or not.
I guess that just sort of has become the new intro, I guess.
Oh, I see.
But here we are. Know Thy Enemy podcast with your hosts, Howard T. Baxter for Completely Unbiased News and
The General. Hello.
the General. We don't know the General's name. But he's still the General.
Yeah.
The General.
So, this little podcast, Know Thy Enemy podcast, where we talk about supernatural, paranormal.
This is the Know Thy Enemy podcast.
All kinds of fun stuff. And,
Dark House Productions YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And what are we talking about today, General?
Today we are talking about the idea of supernatural perception. How some people are able to see supernatural events and some people are completely unable to see them.
Supernatural perception. Buckle up.
Yep. So, this one's going to be a little bit hooky spooky today, so everybody get on your hooky spooky hats and buckle in, because this is going to be a weird and complex one. Just so you know, this is going to be some kind of deep concepts, deep ideas, a lot of psychology, a lot of... It's hooky spooky. Just bear with us.
So this is a ghost hat. Rather than putting on the tinfoil hat, which would be for conspiracy theories and aliens and type of things.
Well, it kind of ties into a little bit of the tinfoil hat too. This is
so your hat is half tinfoil, half ghost hat. What is a ghost hat? Like a night hat?
Sure, man. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
You know what? Put on a Santa hat.
You heard it here first. The Santa hat is the ghost hat.
Put Santa hat on. That's a fun one. So basically, this whole theory of supernatural perception is an overarching explanation as to why some people are more prone to supernatural sightings, alien sightings, cryptid sightings, different aspects of the paranormal, and some people, no matter how hard they try, are absolutely unable to perceive such things.
Wow.
It all stems from, and this is my own personal theory here, that it all stems from the difference between instinct and thought. Instinct being your subconscious brain's idea of self-preservation, of how things are supposed to be. Breathing is an instinct. That's part of your parasympathetic nervous system. Your body just understands, I need to breathe in order to survive. You touch a hot pan, your body jerks your finger away before you're even able to the pain comes after you rip your finger away. Like you recognize that it's hot after your body already reacts to it. You have the thought of, ow, that's hot, after your body already is like, Jesus, no. If you get scared, you jump before you're able to consciously think, oh God, that scared me. So that is all instinct. That is how your body at a primal level is able to respond to external phenomenon. Thought is sort of your higher brain level ability to think objectively as opposed to instinct. So think of it as instinct is lizard brain, thought is monkey brain. Your instinct is how your body is able to maintain itself and prevent destruction, whereas your active thought is you actively working your brain through its own systems. It gets deeper. Just buckle in. Are you following so far?
Yeah, so you're trying to say is the difference between the intelligent thought that you might have and your natural DNA, primal, evolved,
Exactly.
Or, so you essentially, it's your instincts that you've had over all the years that's in your DNA as to our brain automatically knows there's a snake there. Whoa,
Yep. It's
Jump
how
back.
it's how you're hardwired to think versus how you're conditioned to think. It's that nature versus nurture.
yeah. So we're talking about hardware versus software.
Exactly.
Part of the hardware is we know to over thousands or, well, millions of years, billions, trillions, whatever, as to jump away from the snake.
Correct.
Whereas the software is things that can be programmed.
The software is what makes you want to go over and pick up the snake and show your friends.
After getting over the initial
Correct. Now, active thought.
reaction.
Active thought can overcome instinct thought, where basically you can work through your fears. It's like working over a fear of spiders or picking up the snake or something like that, or holding on to the hot pan even though you know it's hot. It's that idea of mind over matter. That is active thought. That's all what's happening in your frontal cortex. That's where it's your brain actively overriding your body's danger signals. And it can go the other way as well. You can go you go into a dark room where something bad, you ever have that feeling? Something bad's in here. Like you just the hair on the back of your neck sticks up, or you're in a situation, you walk into the woods and you just go, I need to go back now. That's your body your instinct overriding active thought, because your active thought is like, I want to keep going, but your body's just going, no, bad stuff all around, go away, go home.
I get that feeling usually that there's a Bigfoot coming after me, middle of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually going to touch on Bigfoot in this episode.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
Bigfoot's tied into the subconscious.
It's tied into that idea that some people are more perceptive of the quote-unquote supernatural. Now, there is a running theory that your brain can, whereas it recognizes patterns, everybody has the dark spot in their eye where the optic nerve is. There's a black spot in your eye, but your brain plasters over that with surrounding imagery in order to hide that from you.
Yeah, your brain actually fills in the gaps.
Exactly.
Well, now that's why when we have two eyeballs with the nose in between, our mind actually fills in the middle.
Correct. And you actually don't recognize your nose unless you're actively looking for it.
Like I'm looking at it right now.
Yep.
Wow. My nose is pretty long.
Yep. And mine is.
It's a little crooked, too, from that bar fight that was in all those years ago. You're going to believe me eventually, General. I was in that bar fight.
One day I might buy you, But your brain also has the ability, through repression, to filter out things that it, one, finds too traumatic for your own well-being, or two, it cannot comprehend at a base level.
Can't comprehend it.
So your brain can see something and go, what in the ever-loving hell is that? And just completely blank it out. Now, that is at an instinctual level. That is your brain going, holy hell, what is that?
And also your brain can play tricks on you as well.
Exactly.
So when you're super tired, I know I was coming home one night and I was super tired, and I looked over and I saw three guys. They were just standing there. And I thought, great, now I'm going to get into another bar fight. Only I guess it's not a bar fight because we're on the street. But I looked over and it was just trash cans.
Well, there you go.
So it was my brain filling in these shadows.
Seeing patterns where there are none. Yep.
Seeing patterns where there are none. It's a perfect example. Mm-hmm. I was already all pretty winded from the last fight, so I didn't want to get into another one.
Oh, it was 2 in one night, huh?
Well, yeah.
You milquetoast
son of a bitch. The reporters get into a lot of trouble.
Oh, is that so? You are such a raging badass. You fine example of the epitome of a masculine specimen.
Like Lois Lane. Everybody finds a Lois Lane when you're in the newspaper business. This doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? What I was trying to say was...
Neither does what we're talking about today, but
what we were talking about before made a lot
anyway.
of sense, but... Yeah, I guess we just tapped into Howard T. Baxter's love life, which is really scary, so we don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
Never mind, forget anything I said.
That's scary territory.
Forget all that.
I actually misspoke. Your brain filtering out things it cannot comprehend, that is active thought, that is not instinctual thought. That is your brain recognizing this is too crazy for me to really wrap our head around. We're going to filter that out so that you don't perceive it.
So this is why if, let's say,
Repressed memories, stuff like that.
what about false memories?
False memories as well. That's actually kind of the opposite. That's your brain producing a memory of something that didn't happen, whereas repression is completely blanking, having selective amnesia of something that did happen that was too traumatic.
So let's say you're a soldier on the front line, and you shoot somebody, and you remember the initial shot, but you don't remember what came after.
Correct.
That's your brain
That's
saying...
the idea. That's your brain going, this is too much. We will lose our minds. We're going to blank that out.
And so only through hard training and whatnot do you
Correct.
remember after that.
Hypnotic therapy can actually bring that out too, because that can be a way of getting your brain to read.
You mean with the holding a watch
Like
like
I
this?
said, this is gonna get hooky spooky. Hypnosis itself is an actual thing. It is a way of it's using the power of suggestion to basically help your brain kind of unknot.
Okay, but it sounds a little bit like gaslighting.
It can be in malicious hands.
Because gaslighting is not good.
Right. If the wrong person is acting as a hypnotist, it can be bad. But if
Fun fact, the term gaslighting actually came from a movie
Gaslight.
called Gaslight.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good movie. I saw the remake. I did not see the original film, but it was still in black and white, so it's very old.
Tell me something. Was there a lot of gaslighting in that movie?
There was a lot of gaslighting, and it was great. I mean, not that gaslighting is good. I don't recommend it. I don't condone it.
You heard it here first, folks. Howard T. Baxter is a
Howard T. Baxter.
Howard T. Baxter is a gaslighting bastard.
General. Usually you have 6 medals.
I will beat you to death with this microphone.
He's very forgetful. He forgets a lot of things. You see what I did there? That was gaslighting.
yeah.
We show to do a lot of bad things on this show, apparently.
I guess so. But yeah, so seeing something supernatural, like a ghost or an alien or some sort of a creature or cryptid, if your brain deems that to be too wild, too crazy, too traumatic for your own well-being, your brain can completely filter that out through subjective amnesia or selective amnesia, or even in day-to-day thought. There's the theory that if your brain sees something like out of the corner of your eye that is too wild and crazy for your own well-good, that on the fly, your subconscious brain can filter that out of your everyday sight and you never even perceive it. So it's like a preemptive strike, so to speak. It's where your brain just goes, nope, don't like that, and completely shuts that out of your field of vision. And fills in the blank with something like just the regular background. You see trees instead.
Or a monster? Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah. Your brain completely filters out the monster is what I'm saying.
Filtering out the monster.
And so that's why some people are able to see things like ghosts or demons or aliens, or are more likely to see this stuff. Whereas other people, their brain is wired in such a way that it deems that as unhealthy for them to perceive and filters that out completely. So you and I could both be looking like, let's just say there was, camera 2 is a ghost, and we're looking in that general direction. If my brain is wired in such a way that it does not deem it as bad for my health to see that, I'm able to perceive it. But let's say your brain, through either past trauma or through learned, for lack of a better word, indoctrination, you've convinced your brain that kind of stuff doesn't exist. You filter it out. You go, I'm seeing stuff. I'm losing my mind, and your brain filters that out and it fills in the blanks.
Well,
all you see is the camera.
Well, conditioning.
Conditioning. Yes.
I think conditioning is sort of a better all-around word.
Better than indoctrination.
But
yes,
but it definitely can be. It can be indoctrination. It can be brainwashing as well, depending on if you're in a cult or something.
Correct. Which is why somebody who is very deeply Christian, if they are to see something supernatural, they are far more likely to see something like an alien or a ghost or something like that as an angel or as an appearance of a saint or something like that, rather than, or even as a demon, rather than as a ghost or an alien or some weird undisclosed entity, because that is how their brain has been conditioned to perceive such things. Your brain, this would be a case of indoctrination where you've been conditioned, you've been indoctrined to understand that, yes, angels are real, demons are real, visions of saints are real, things like that are real, ghosts, goblins, Bigfoots, aliens, those are not real. So your brain goes, okay, what I'm looking at, you see a little gray guy with big black eyes going beady, 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 beady with little antennas. He's obviously an alien. Your brain goes, that's not right. That can't be what I'm looking at. And restructures it as you see this magnificent angel in front of you trying to communicate with you rather than as an alien. That's why a lot of ideas of alien sightings, a lot of people say they initially thought they were an angel and they spoke to them as an angel.
Or a demon.
Or a demon, yes. Just like in Cowboys and Aliens. The demons.
Okay, so speaking of, we haven't got there yet, but we were going to get into the collective unconscious. Yes?
Were you just thinking about that?
Cowboys and aliens.
Hell yeah.
Earlier today, I was going to talk Cowboys and aliens general. I'm not even kidding here. I was going to talk. We mentioned we were talking about Harrison Ford and how Indiana Jones 5 is a terrible movie. Don't watch it. It's a terrible movie. And so Harrison Ford, I was going to bring up, was in a movie called Cowboys and Aliens. If you haven't seen this movie, I think it's actually quite good.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the hell movie.
It's a very fun movie. I wouldn't say it's a good movie. It's very fun, though.
Well, okay.
It's an entertaining movie.
It's a movie.
High art it is not, but
There's a lot of writers.
Yes.
And that can usually derail something. But anyway, so I was thinking about this movie, and I was going to say, well, you remember Cowboys and Aliens? I've had a knack to watch that recently. And then you bring it up during the podcast.
We ought to sit down and watch that. That's fun. Yeah, no, that's
Are we
crazy.
talking? Did I mention this earlier?
No.
For real?
For real.
Oh, there you go.
I just threw that out there just because I was thinking that, like, with Cowboys and Aliens, because they call them demons, that's actually funny. That's really weird.
It was on my... Oh, I didn't even see the connection.
See, hooky spooky, I'm telling you.
Oh, I didn't even see the connection. So you brought it up because they referred to the aliens
I brought
as
it up
demons
because
in the movie.
that's what they, through their own learning,
right.
understood. Demons exist. I'm looking at this thing. I don't know what the hell it is. That's the closest approximation my brain can make as to what it is. So they're seeing these alien creatures. They don't know what a space alien is, so they just call them demons.
And if this was the 1800s, when the movie takes place, and you're in the United States, then yeah, you probably were Catholic or some sort of Christian faith at the time. So you would associate them with demons.
Correct.
Whereas if you're on the other side of the world with a different religion, you may perceive them maybe as demons as well or something else.
Yep, like in Japan, there's things like the Oni and stuff like that. There's other demons, and that's the thing is there is a version of a demon or a dark malevolent spirit in every religion, every region,
every
of the
culture,
world.
every culture, I suppose.
And so that goes to show, like you said, with the collective unconscious, there is something that binds together all of this. There is a deeper. This is pseudoscience. This isn't me quoting a textbook here, but it is my personal belief that there is a deeper understanding of energies and connection of everybody that we just don't understand. It's that idea that magic is just science we don't understand yet, and so the supernatural fits under that as well.
Well, that's not even a pseudoscience. This is theory.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's...
I mean, are the two interchangeable? I guess if you're saying...
In a way, they're interchangeable. I'm just trying to...
Because we're not putting it to...
I'm trying to put it so it's not as concrete. I'm not trying to throw anything I'm saying here. I'm not throwing out as facts.
We are bullshit artists.
We are bullshit artists. And this is all theory. This is all people hypothesizing on ways that things could be, things that are too complex for us to fully comprehend. We don't have the technology to prove or disprove any of this yet. If we ever will, this is all theory and hooky spooky thought. And
we're Baxter and the General. We hunt Bigfoots, for crying out loud.
Right. So don't take anything I'm saying as gospel here. This is just my personal understanding given the research that I've done into people who've done research, and it's very fascinating. And if you want to dive into it, it's very cool to get deeper into it.
And the whole point of this is then this is a possible explanation as to why some people see ghosts and Other people don't. Mm-hmm. And that's it, right?
Which ties into, you have people who, they often say that the people who see ghosts more are the people that want it more. And it's that idea of you are more likely to see ghosts or you're more likely to see aliens if you want it more because you have conditioned your brain that this exists. And so if you see something weird, your brain is more likely to code it as that's what you saw. As to what it actually is, what it really is, well, hell, even the black dog that we talked about in the last episode. If
That was
you
a good
see
episode. Episode 3.
Episode 3.
The black dog?
Black dog, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you see a black dog walking down the street, maybe that's your brain's only way to understand you're seeing some creature that is far more complex. That also leads into the idea of ghosts. There is a parallel theory that there are two different types of hauntings when it comes to ghosts.
Two different types.
Two different types. You have intelligent hauntings, which is things like a ghost that you could communicate with, or a demonic possession, or like a poltergeist. And then there is residual hauntings, which is the idea that everybody constantly is giving off energy and your own, made my little mic crooked, your own little, your sort of, for lack of a better word, thumbprint on the universe around you, right? You being here, it's the same way that sometimes when you're in a room, you can kind of tell that somebody's in there with you and you know who it is just by the vibe you're getting off of them or something like that. The idea of the collective unconscious is it's energies. Again, hooky spooky. This is some hippie ass territory right here. And I fully recognize that. But again, this is fun to think.
Well, I don't know. I mean, pretty much every girl now has a crystal somewhere, so.
Yeah. But it's that same idea. Is
energies.
If somebody.
Vibing.
If you have. It's vibing.
I mean.
If you have a residual haunting, it could be just echoes of the energy that this person was putting off in life. And the reason why a lot of times they say, oh, well, they walked right through a solid wall or they walked right through a door. Well, it could have been that in their time, in the time that these energies came off of them, perhaps that was a hallway at the time and not a wall at all. Maybe the original floor plan of the building you're in, maybe that was a stairway. Maybe that's why they're ascending off the floor and going off at a weird angle or something like that. It's an echo of a bygone time, not necessarily the actual, like, quote-unquote spirit of the person, but just an echo of the energies they gave off.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I said, it gets weird. Whereas an intelligent haunting is where you have the actual quote-unquote spirit of a person or an entity that is right there in the room with you.
In the material world, crashing into things.
Right. You can interact with an intelligent haunting, not with a residual haunting.
Doesn't mean the ghost is smart.
Correct. It just means that it's capable of thought.
General, during the Monster War, good segue, were you haunted by a stupid ghost?
I was haunted by so many dumbass ghosts that you wouldn't believe it, dude.
Wow.
Imagine thinking you come across some ghosts. You come across some ghosts. And it's going to be some dude that, yes, I am the ghost of a fellow that had a doctorate at MIT, and I was a biological engineer.
So the ghost would come right up to you during the campfire,
you
and the other troops, and sit down and have a cup of tea?
Well, we got to think about this. During the Monster
rum?
War, there was a collision of just the sheer indomitable will of man, along with the collection of all of this paranormal activity from the monster hordes. That created a sort of like focus point whenever the two armies would meet. So around our campfires, we had lots of ghosts show up. And like I said, you have some guys like, yes, I have a doctorate degree. And then you have other ones who are like, all right, mate, they're just dumbass ghosts.
And you have some people there that probably didn't even see the ghosts.
Correct. Because their brain wired in such a way that they saw it as too traumatic.
You can change the software, not the hardware.
It also was telling that far more people were seeing the ghosts during the Monster War towards the end of the war than they were towards the beginning. Because the more that they were exposed to the paranormal, the more they were able to perceive such things. Because their brains had accepted these things as fact.
And actually, another good example of this is if you're a ghost hunter, you're more likely to see them.
Yes.
Even if they're not even there, because we're looking for them.
Now, there is also the idea that you can want it too much.
So like, yeah, so
that your energies can almost in a way repel that, or that you have conditioned your brain that you want it so much that you have convinced yourself that if I don't see it, it's not real, or you are too paranoid that it's not real. That's why they always say doubt. Even in religion, they say things like, faith can move mountains, but it has to be true faith. If there's even a fraction of doubt, it won't work. And that's because doubt is the belief that what I am thinking or what I am believing in does not exist, which is in a way your brain conditioning you to not accept it as fact.
So what may have just been the wind knocking something over, you think was a ghost knocking it over.
Correct.
And until you doubt, and then when you go, or I don't know, the logical part of the brain?
It goes both ways. See, here's the thing, is reality and
being a
fact.
cynic.
Reality and fact are a binary. Either something is real or something is not real. I am, just for the sake of brevity here, I'm totally ignoring the idea of something can be partially real or that like we create our own reality. That's, as far as today goes, that's all hogwash. Something is either real or it isn't. Now, whether you have the ability to perceive that thing that's real has no bearing on whether it's real or not.
I like it.
So let's say that it's late at night and you have a plate that you had mounted up on your wall. It was a decorative plate. That falls to the ground. Kerboom. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing something at it. A book flies off your bookshelf. I was thinking really old lady. All right. I was thinking like old grandma.
General!
Yeah,
is that what you're always up in the attic moving boxes of your decorative plates around?
Plethora of decorative plates that I have. No, imagine, okay, a book flies off your bookcase. Or falls off the bookcase. Kerboom. You go in the room. You have a book laying on the floor now.
Well, I have an explanation. You want to hear the explanation for that?
Lay it on me, brother.
Okay. Matthew McConaughey is in your bookcase. The film Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. Go watch it right now. It's pretty good.
It's really good, actually. That movie has one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in any movie.
It's a wonderful soundtrack.
I would put it up there in the top 5 soundtracks I've ever heard.
I don't think it's Christopher Nolan's best film. I still think that would be between Inception
and probably The Dark Knight.
And The Dark Knight, of course. But he invented Inception, whereas The Dark Knight, of course, comes from, years and years of
Batman.
Of people writing Batman. But is Batman real? Who knows?
It's all dependent on your perception.
All depends on your perception.
Have you conditioned yourself to believe that Batman isn't real? Listen, there's all that rioting going on in France right now. There's that big media blackout.
When is there not?
Well, here's the thing. It's getting really bad. It's like a full-on revolution right now. They have a media blackout. But here's the thing. There is a dude walking around in France right now fighting crime dressed as Batman.
You heard it here first.
So Batman's real. He's just French. I am la vengeance. Justice.
For all the people in France right now watching us, we think you guys are pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, please tune in. We hope everything works out.
That would almost be more terrifying. You just got done robbing a bank. You get to the roof and you're waiting on your escape.
I'm Batman.
And you just hear like in the distance, you're like, oh man, let's hope the bat doesn't show up. And you just hear, oh.
No, wait. Wait. Lay Batman. You know, lay.
Yeah. Who are you? I am Le Batman.
Hercule Poirot.
Yeah, just whipping baguettes at you instead of the batarang. Oh, these are delicious, but they hurt. But anyway, so back to...
I watch a lot of French movies. They're pretty good.
Oh, fantastic.
Just reminded me of they called a Les Samurai, actually.
Les Samurai.
It's a pretty good movie. It's about an assassin in the 1940s. But he's not actually a samurai, but he uses the code, the samurai code.
Okay. I can dig it.
Sort of a lot of mixing of cultural type things there. But, I mean, it's pretty good. It's a good movie. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd be...
Just because we were speaking about France and things.
I'd be excited to see that, actually.
It's a pretty good movie.
But
so the ghost perception thing, whatever.
So it's the idea that again, if your brain is more open to certain things, you're more likely to see them because you have coded yourself to be able to see them. Now that does not mean that if you have accepted that ghosts are real, you see a ghost, that's what you're actually seeing. That is just what you have allowed your brain to be able to perceive.
It could very well be trash cans, like I mentioned earlier.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So it can go both ways. You have your book that fell off the bookcase. You go in the room. You have two types of people. You have the first type of person that goes, there must have been a mouse on the bookcase that knocked it off, or maybe it was already teetering and the wind blowing through the window knocked it off the bookcase. Or you have the second person that goes, obviously it was a ghost.
Obviously.
It can go both ways. Again, reality is a binary. Either it was a ghost or it wasn't. So that means that it could be somebody going, it must have been a wind, when it actually was a ghost, or somebody going, it was a ghost, when it was actually the wind. It goes both ways. And only one of them is real. And it's really freaking hard to understand which one is real when everybody's perception of reality around them is different.
But it can also get really dangerous if you hear voices in your head and they tell you to do bad things.
Well, yes, that's schizophrenia.
Well, sure, but couldn't that be the ghosts telling this person?
Is it ghosts telling the person?
I don't know.
Or is it underlying mental illness? Again, it's that binary. And that's why a lot of people who underwent exorcisms back in the day,
Or electroshock therapy.
They think a lot of the people who received exorcisms from the Vatican back
May
in
have
the
just
day
been schizophrenic.
may have just been schizophrenic or borderline personality disorder.
Which we know of now.
Correct. Where if you're hearing voices, which, by the way, if you are a person that is hearing voices or something like that, see a doctor. There's no shame in it. They make medication to help that things. Just because you're schizophrenic doesn't mean you're a crazy person.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely not what we're trying to say.
Yeah, it's an underlying medical issue. It's a legitimate thing. Your brain can get sick just like any other organ. Seek out help, get some medicine. It helps you. But it's that idea of that binary. Is something real or is it not? Supernatural perception is the idea of, is it to where we are just not able to perceive these things because our brain recognizes it as too traumatic? Or is it all bullshit and we've been talking for 32 minutes about something that's absolute, complete, and total horseshit?
It's very possible, but that's why...
It's fun to think about.
It's a lot of fun, yeah, but to reference the film...
I love that movie.
There's a movie with Viggo Mortensen and the guy who played the young Magneto.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Ian McKellen.
No, the young Fassbender. Michael Fassbender. They're both in a film, and it was by a director that I can't remember, but the film was, it has Keira Knightley in it. And Viggo Mortensen plays the famous psychologist... Freud.
Yeah.
And and Michael Fassbender plays Carl Jung, and it's about them in, I suppose the later years, but they're talking about things. And so Carl Jung starts to bring up his theories about the a collective unconscious and whatnot. And Freud is very much I suppose you would say, like a realist. So he's basically saying, oh, what are you talking about? Fairies in the garden.
Yeah.
This type of, we need it. We will be taken for madman. We need to keep it hard facts type of thing. And we can't, because he was all about being taken seriously.
Yep, he was all about being taken seriously. And, yes, all of these ideas, for Freud, it was none of this stems from fairies in the garden. All of it stems from young men having a latent want to bang their mom.
Yes.
Fueled by copious mountains of cocaine.
But anyway, I got most of this information from the film.
Look that up, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
I haven't done too much research on my own on Carl Jung and whatnot. So,
but yeah, Carl Jung, it's that same idea of the collective unconsciousness. We're all connected through this sort of mesh of understanding and
a dangerous method.
That's it.
It's a very good film. It's a very good film. Keira Knightley's in it. She's hot, like always. And Michael Fassbender plays Carl Jung, who I guess, so he sort of is the inventor, kind of. of the
He had a much more
or not really the inventor, but sort of
creative
the
and open mind when it came to things like this.
the collective unconscious.
Yes,
because he did write extensively about that, and then Freud was again more about everyone just wants to bang their mom.
Freud was a pragmatist to a fault.
Right now, I forget
If my eyes can't see it, it doesn't exist. Sort of an idea.
and I think that was my point.
Yes,
was to just reference a movie because
very good point. By the way, you hit the nail right on the head.
a very good movie. Check it out.
And that gets into deeper subjects of like alien activity. Is it a physical thing or is it a psychic thing? Are aliens and ghosts one and the same? Is there something deeper? Is it something else entirely? It goes
Are they
really far down a really deep rabbit hole. And that's why you get all these people that whenever you see a picture of somebody who is a big time ghost expert or alien expert of note, they all have the same expression on their face. They all look like this.
And that's the thing, folks. That's the thing. It's like whether or not. That's why it's hard. Are we to actually believe these people that have seen, I don't know, Area 51 and spaceships and all the conspiratorial type things where you have to put on your tinfoil hat, where they'll swear up and down forever.
Yes.
That they've seen them. Is it all a hoax? I don't know. But again, I suppose this goes into what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's also the idea, like I said before, thought versus instinct, where thought is your own conditioning, what you've learned, how you have cultivated your brain to operate, to accept things and reject other things, versus instinct. And that's why people say that children are more susceptible to supernatural activity. Children are more likely to have that imaginary friend that they speak to that's actually a ghost or a demon, more likely to see aliens, more likely to see ghosts. And that's also why people say that dogs are more in tune with the quote unquote vibe of a person. Like if, they can recognize somebody as evil, or they can recognize there's an entity somewhere, or your dog just doesn't like a spot. They want you to leave. It's that same thing of you getting goosebumps. It's that same thing, but a dog's going to act on that because they don't have the higher brain function to talk themselves through it and just go, oh, this is spooky. This is fun. Let's keep going. Cats staring at a wall at 2 a.m., staring at demons in the corner.
Is that what dogs sound like?
In my brain, yeah, it's a dog. Oh,
I'm a dog.
Oh, bow wow,
I know what Captain sounds like. Captain Pickles.
Captain Pickles, yes.
He just...
So he sounds like... He's a very loud man.
More or less.
But, so that ties into how, people say that children are more receptive to the supernatural. They're more likely to see ghosts. They're more likely to perceive, see the shadowy figure. Oh, the hat man came to me, or oh, the tall man came to my room, or oh, the crooked woman came and was talking to me, and it's
the boogeyman.
Yes, where it's before your brain has conditioned itself to reject such things as falsehoods.
And you're not completely developed yet. You don't have all of your software engineering that goes on.
So there's another binary. Does that mean that they are more receptive to the supernatural, or is it that their brain isn't fully functioning yet, isn't fully put together, and so their brain is filling in patterns of stuff that isn't really there? And therein lies where it's a very deep subject. I find this stuff absolutely fascinating. And the more that you do research into, especially the alien abduction stuff, which I hate aliens. I will never go hunting for aliens after
General,
after the incident.
But General, I don't know. We haven't. Wait, what? You've seen aliens during the war?
I don't want to talk about it.
Were aliens in the war?
I don't want to talk about it.
But you heard me first. Completely unbiased news on the No The Anime podcast. Aliens were part of the monster war.
They put stuff inside me, Baxter. I don't want to talk about it.
You heard it here first. But anyway,
probes.
We should probably. Oh, General, my God, we should probably get back to the podcast.
So yeah, basically, is it where again is the brain able to filter out spooky stuff that is too much for you to handle, or is it that it doesn't exist and our own creativity is creating these stories, these myths, and they're not real, and we're just allowing ourselves to run rampant with these fleeting fancies.
So this is where imagination would come into play.
Correct. Is it imagination, or is it the exact opposite, to where it's reality and we are just filtering out the bad stuff? Which is also another thing about that is, and again, this is all eyewitness and this is all hearsay, which is very, very much inadmissible in like a courtroom, so therefore unreliable. But with the supernatural, it's all you have to go on, which makes all of this very unreliable sources. All of this is none of this is black and white, pencil to paper fact. It's all hearsay. So you get a lot of people that when they've been abducted by an alien, in instances of an abduction where somebody claims to have spoken to the alien or interacted with them, where they say that the alien says that basically, welcome back, this is going to go down this time exactly like it did last time. And the people go, what do you mean last time? This is the first time I'm seeing you. And they're like, no, we've done this 4 times prior. And they were so freaked out those 4 times prior that the brain just went, nope, checking out, and just erased the memory entirely. Is that, again, selective amnesia. My eye is itching like a son of a bitch. There we go.
So they couldn't remember the first times that they were abducted.
Couldn't remember the first times they were abducted. Now, is that person telling the truth? Or is that somebody going, I'm going to tell this story down at the local bar and get and I'm going to get so much attention, maybe get a few free drinks. And that's where it all becomes very unreliable, because we all want to be acknowledged. We all want praise. We all want the attention. So hell, we started a podcast. Is it that these people are reporting fact, or what they perceived as fact, like their own personal reality, or are they making up stories so that people will buy them a free Bud Light?
It's possible.
Yes. But yeah, so it's a very fun theory. And I wanted us to do this episode because in the future, when we're talking about hauntings or aliens or anything like that, I think it's a lot easier to go into that with this very objective and skeptical understanding of the reality or non-reality of such things. It's easier to have this that we could always go back on if we have a new person watching that they go like, oh, well, this makes no sense. Okay, we'll go back, watch this. You might get a better understanding for it.
Monsterology 101.
But yeah, this is the core of cryptozoology, ghost hunting, ufology, which is actually what it's called for people who
Is it really? For hunting aliens?
People who study aliens and UFOs, it's ufology, but it's also pronounced ufology, and oof, and it's like right down the middle. Half of them call it ufology, and half of them call it ufology, and they both hate each other. They both hate both pronunciations. It's very funny, but it's far more complex than even I'm explaining it. It gets a lot deeper, but I'm trying to put it in as like basic of terms as possible. Once you go down the rabbit hole, you just find yourself free falling down that sumbitch, and you learn shit, and you're able to get your brain to wrap around certain things. The further down you go, the less it makes sense until you hit pretty low to the bottom. Then you go, oh, it's all starting to make sense. And that's when you go crazy. So I'm doing my best not to get that far down this rabbit hole, but it's interesting how the brain, being such a fickle thing, ties into whether things are real or not. It also ties into like mass hysteria, things like that. People who collectively say, like a collective sighting of a UFO or of seeing that reverend that posted about how that dog busted into the black dog busted into the church. It was Black Shuck, that church in 1577.
Black Shuck.
And burnt the door and bit those people in the throat. Other people said that they saw it too, like things like that.
They probably didn't see it, but they believed it because the entire village was running.
Correct. And also tying into the idea of the black dog,
Hysteria.
something I didn't mention in the last episode that I just remembered now that actually ties into what we're talking about right now. One of the more modern stories involving a black dog was a young boy in 1977, same year that Star Wars Episode 4 came out, looking out his window, and he kept complaining to his mother that he kept seeing a large black dog down the road staring at him through his window with large glowing eyes. And the mother simplified it and explained it away for him that, oh, son, you're just seeing cars coming down the road with the headlights shining into your window.
Oh.
Now, does
There
that
you
mean
go.
that this kid at his young age, with his brain unable to comprehend that it's just a car coming down and filling in the gaps, creating patterns where there are none, seeing a large black dog because he had been hearing all these fairy tales about wolves and stuff like that? Or is it that he's seeing this black dog and the mom is unable to recognize that as fact and is just explaining it away as, oh, it's just a car? So that's a fun little tie-in from the last episode.
What happened?
He grew up, never saw it again. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if
after that, his brain is conditioned to go, oh, okay.
I wasn't sure if
that's
it
what
ended
is.
horribly or.
No, I don't believe he died. I didn't
Oh,
hear.
well,
I didn't dive too far into that one, but
Okay.
yeah, again, it's very fickle, very funny when you really get into some of it, because some of the stories, it's very much obviously bullshit, but these people are convinced it is fact. And I mean, do you feel as though you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about now, or is this all like way the hell over your head?
No, all this makes perfect sense to me.
All right, awesome. Good. Then I have succeeded, because I was very worried that when I was going to be explaining this, I was going to be explaining it in such a bad way that nobody'd understand.
No, this is good.
And honestly, it ties into everything. The binary of existence versus non-existence, all supernatural and paranormal things. Bigfoot. I said we were going to touch on Bigfoot. So we got Bigfoot. The people who want to see Bigfoot are the people who have the sightings.
Right, exactly.
That does not necessarily mean that they're actually seeing a Bigfoot. It means that they're in the woods, they're seeing a dark shadow, they are perceiving that as Bigfoot because that is what their brain is conditioned to perceive. Does that mean it's Bigfoot? No. Does that necessarily mean it's not Bigfoot? Not necessarily, because we don't know. We cannot objectively prove one way or another. Now, me having fought countless Bigfoots in the Monster War, I know for a fact Bigfoots are real. I'm talking about modern day, Bigfoot experts hunting them in the woods, like those Calhoun assholes.
Oh yeah, and we've run into Bigfoot. Bigfoots are definitely real.
You almost got chopped in half by one.
Almost got chopped in half.
I really hope that in post we put in that same animation.
Here's that clip again.
Yep, it's so funny.
It's got big old stitches, big old stitches. Anyway, so
Chicks dig scars.
like those Vikings that we talked about in another episode. God of War.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's the Viking version of it, not the Greek version.
Yeah, the superior version. Actually.
I've heard they're pretty good.
Very good. But so everything, vampires, like, is it just psychos running around killing people and drinking the blood? Is it an actual thing? It all depends on perception.
Since we're talking about vampires really quickly.
Yeah.
And this kind of has something to do with what we're speaking about right now, is if you're seeing what you're seeing or whatever. The last voyage of the Demeter.
Demeter. I'm excited for that. That's coming out soon, isn't it?
So it's not the Demeter.
It's the Demeter.
It's not Demeter.
Well, it's the British pronunciation of it.
Because there's an actor on there. The actor that actually, well, since we're talking about the film, I guess, because I was just I wasn't necessarily talking about the film that's coming out. I was talking about just, I guess, in general.
Oh, in general, I thought you were talking about the film. I was like,
But
I'm
the
excited
film,
for that film.
the film coming out, I am excited for that as well. But there's an actor in there that played the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones, and he pronounces it the Demeter.
He does say the Demeter?
He says the Demeter.
Okay, I've heard both. Most recently, in the audiobook I listen to every year I listen to Dracula every year. My eyes are getting old and straining, and I have difficulty reading for long periods of time, so I do a lot of audiobooks. And there's certain books that I try and go through every year. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, Frankenstein, Dracula are among them. And in the audiobook I listened to of Dracula, he does say the Demeter. And both are technically correct and both incorrect because it all is based off of the ancient Greek pronunciation, which I believe is technically Demeter. I think.
Well, because sometimes the director of a film will let the actor pronounce it however way that he wants, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Garwin,
another perfect example.
The
The
Green
Green Knight, the A24 film, which has, Dev Patel.
Yeah, Dev Patel playing
Dev
Sir Gawain
Patel.
or Sir Gawain or however you want to pronounce
Yeah,
it.
Sir Gawain, Sir Gawain.
But yeah, then the guy playing King Arthur just pronounces it Garwin for whatever the hell reason.
And they let it stay.
And the director just went, he must know what he's doing. But
Also, another good movie.
Very good
Did
movie,
they
yeah.
see the Green Knight, or were they all crazy? Which goes into our perception thing.
now, if you watch that movie with this mentality,
With this in mind.
yep, or any real horror movie with this mentality, it changes it a little bit because it makes it a little more ambiguous. So honestly, everything that I've just gone over for the past 50 minutes has both clarified some things with the supernatural and also made it way more confusing for
Yeah,
you.
and boggled it up.
So you're welcome, and I am sorry.
But these are also these films that have been brought up are good examples of that as well. Because in the
Yes.
in the Demeter or the Demeter, which I think is a much cooler
I like the Demeter
way to
better,
pronounce
yeah.
it, are they really seeing a big bat? Really seeing Dracula? Because the story is the last voyage of the Demeter, they're taking Dracula, unbeknownst to them, back to
England.
England, and they all die. So
On
I
his
guess
way
there is
to Carfax Abbey.
Carfax. When you're speaking of what's his name?
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is a terrible actor, but it's okay because he plays that one character very good.
Very, very well. He's a very good actor in a very specific set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And it's exactly
John Wick. Go watch John Wick right now. It's my favorite movie. I keep the general up all night because I'm playing the sound really loudly and all the gunfire and everything.
I haven't slept in 2 weeks.
I've only watched number 4 times. And it needs to be watched again. But anyway, what was I talking about? So I guess I kind of ruined my own argument because if everyone on the Demeter died, then they didn't just proceed. It wasn't just a perception thing. It really was real. And they all were killed by Dracula. So never mind.
Well, and that's why a lot of supernatural, quote unquote, attacks or instances where somebody came across a supernatural phenomenon where it does result in a death and a physical body instead of just a disappearance where you have actual evidence of death.
Oh, and actually, so this changes everything. So what if the ship showed up on shore, everybody's dead, and they just said, well, a giant bat must have killed everyone. Who knows? But that's, of course, the perception of that's the people that found the wreckage. Mm-hmm. Because it did come ashore, because Dracula did make it back home.
In the book, it is all like log posts from the ship itself discussing how they believe it was this creature.
Well, sure. I mean, if the people on the ship itself, it doesn't matter. They're dead now.
Now, Dracula himself in real life, the real arch vampire, he's a bastard. He's just an arrogant son of a bitch.
Well,
Can't
Dracula
stand
in
the
real
guy.
life.
Can't stand him. That book is kind of a load of horse shit too. None of that happened. He's just an arrogant piece of shit.
Well, another hogwash sort of. Vampires are not shiny.
Unless they come from a medieval fair where they have been covered in glitter or a strip club. Then they can sparkle. Perception. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate you hanging out with us.
Now that we know thy enemy, how do we defeat it?
By perceiving them.
Because it's not really an enemy.
Yeah, we didn't really have an enemy. This is just more or less a master class on going forward, I guess. So we didn't really have
Masterclass.
Yeah, I'm an expert.
Yeah, with Howard T. Baxter for Completely Unbiased News and the General. Who fought the
Legendary
Monster
monster hunter. But yeah, But yeah, hopefully this will help to keep the waters a little less muddy going forward, and it gives us a point we could throw you guys back to if you ever seem to get a little confused with some of this stuff, or if we have a new person we start talking about something that we think is a little too heavy to really understand normally, we can send people back to this episode. Maybe help them to understand things a little bit better, that binary of existence versus existence, and the person's personal ability to perceive certain things at an individual level. But yeah, so that's all I got. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. Learn about ghosts and aliens and all kinds of fun stuff. We love doing this for you guys. We're really happy to do this podcast. This is a lot of fun. Most fun I've had in a long time. We're getting close to the dollar signs from Papa YouTube starting to flow in. So
be sure to watch the episode and do us a favor and watch the entire episode. That gives us the watch time that we need.
Yep.
And you got nothing else to do anyway. You're doing laundry or you've got that long car ride.
Yep.
There's no reason why you can't have us on your phone, and listen to us talk about these things.
Yep, it's just my fat ass and his dorky ass sitting at a table talking at you. You can definitely just set us off to the side and listen to it. Not a whole lot other than that funny face I did earlier with my hair all screwed up. Nothing really visually going on here. We got a little bit of green behind me. That's about it. But yeah.
Please give us a like. Please subscribe, and please share the video. Share the video with your friends. That helps us a lot with the algorithms.
And let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know how you think we're doing, things you think we could improve upon. If you hate us, tell us. If you have a creature or something you want us to cover, or a subject you want us to cover, tell us in the comments. The worst we can say is no. And honestly, I don't see us stopping this anytime soon, so the answer is probably going to be yes eventually. Hell, the second episode we did, the skunk ape, that was an audience suggestion. So
the skunk ape.
Yep. Our second episode was an audience suggestion.
That was an audience suggestion. So, yeah, please leave your suggestions in the comments below.
Yep. And if I got anything wrong, or you think that what I said was absolute total horseshit, let me know. Let me know how I was wrong. I am an open-minded guy and always looking to learn.
And we like to get back to the comments below. We like to
yes.
We like to leave a reply. We like to get back to you guys.
Try to respond to every comment.
So, yeah, please leave us a like, subscribe, leave a comment below, share the video. All the links to our stuff is in the description below, the Patreon, the video clips that you've seen. There's all links down below. There's our other channels, Gark Gaming, the Filmist Universe. Yep. A guy called the Film Custodian does film reviews.
Guy's an asshole.
That guy's, he's kind of weird. But,
it's got kind of a crooked nose.
Kind of a crooked nose.
Kind of a weird...
What if I got in the bar fight with that guy?
I think you could kick his ass. He seems like a pussy.
I probably could kick his ass. He's just a stupid janitor anyway.
Yeah. I think you could fold that guy like laundry.
But check out our other videos, The Adventures of Baxter and the General, where the two of us go off and hunt Bigfoots and whatnot. That's why we're so smart.
Very smart, big brains, big wrinkle brains.
We know we know words of smart people like Freud. So that makes us smarter.
Way to sell it, Baxter. Way to sell it to the cheap seats there.
Makes us so smart.
We do have to am smart. Big time. Also, if you made it this far in the video, in the comments, just leave us a little note that says, wow, super hooky spooky. Just so we know how many of you actually made it to the end.
Oh, please do. That's interesting.
I think that'd be kind of fun.
Also, from time to time, we'll put polls up where we'll have fun little questions and whatnot. And
if we ever have a week where I can't decide which freaking monster we want to talk about, we'll put a poll up, help narrow it down.
Oh, 100%.
Help my lazy ass out, We
like to involve our audience as much as possible. You guys are awesome.
Yep.
And thanks for hanging out with us on Know Thy Enemy, Episode 4.
But yeah. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Perception.